What's up, everybody? My name is David Jagneaux, aka the Jaggernaut, and today I want to talk to you about a game called Onimusha Way of the Sword. This is the first new Onimusha game in quite a long time from Capcom. I got the chance to go to their office in San Francisco, California, and check out the game for myself, go hands on, try it out, test it out, and see what it's all about. The preview event also included Resident Evil Requiem as well as Pragmata, both of which I have videos for as well. You can check those out here on the page. But let's go ahead and dive in. This is an unscripted preview where I just talk about my experience with the game using B-roll footage provided by Capcom. I didn't have a portable capture device to bring with me with storage included, so I did not get to capture my own footage, but this is the B-roll of the same demo that I played, so it's perfectly acceptable to use this as well. It was provided by Capcom. You can read my full preview hands-on impressions over at Forbes.com on my gaming section preview where I wrote about this game as well as the other two as well. So if you want more details, head over there to see what I thought. But let's go ahead and dive into the gameplay and talk about what this game is like. I don't have a ton of experience with Onimusha. I've only played the remaster of 2 and I did not finish it. I played it for a preview and that was about it. So my 25 to 30 minutes or so with this game is kind of fresh. I'm going into this with relatively fresh eyes. I don't have any preconceived notions or ideas about what this series should be. However, I am aware that the original games had fixed camera angles, kind of like the original God of War games or the original Resident Evil games, where the camera is sort of situated in a predetermined location with pre rendered, hand kind of painted looking backgrounds, kind of like Final Fantasy, 7, 8, 9, where the backgrounds are much higher resolution quality than the characters that run around on the levels. That's what the old Onimusha games were like. They did still have action-based combat, but it wasn't quite as fluid and fast as this game. Whenever I went into this, based on the trailer and kind of the very limited information that I'd seen about this game, I was kind of thinking it was a Souls-like. Maybe I'm way off base with that, but what I found is that it's actually more of a kind of a linear action game, kind of like the Ninja Gaiden games on Xbox, the 3D action Ninja Gaiden games. They're sort of like the recent God of War games, I guess could be a good comparison. It's not open world as far as I can tell. It just has large levels that you explore and kind of go through in a mostly linear way, completing objectives and kind of unlocking the next area as you go. And I really like the format and the pacing, at least as far as what I saw in this demo. Now, it could be very different in the full game, but I'm going to guess that it mostly follows this format. And I really, really like the combat. I'm going to be honest with you. I was skeptical. I'm not very good at parrying usually in games, but I really liked the combat here. I love that you can parry and deflect and evade and do all these different sort of maneuvers to get the upper hand. And I found myself like I really looked forward to having multiple enemies around me because it wasn't overwhelming in this game. It didn't feel like I was in any real danger. I feel like a badass all the time. I mean, you play as Miyamoto Musashi, who is a legendary actual historical figure. And obviously this is a fantastical version of this time period in Kyoto. It's not, I could be wrong, but I don't think Musashi actually fought demons. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think he did. And so I love that it's sort of a retelling of a historical time period using an actual figure from history. And I just love the way combat feels. It feels so good. It feels so fluid and fast and responsive. And you have so many different maneuvers at your disposal that you can do. And there's so many different little nuances. Like I said, you can parry an attack, which then sort of redirects them and charges up your blazing gauge on your sword, but you can also deflect an attack, which really drains their stamina much more quickly. It's a little bit harder to pull off. And then there's also the Eason attack, which where you preemptively attack them before they attack you, and that's even harder to pull off. And then you can evade attacks as well. You have your Oni Gauntlet abilities, the armaments that allow you to do specials and things like that. And it's just there's so much depth. For a demo that was only 25 to 30 minutes long, I had a little fact sheet next to me where I got to see what the controls were for the game. And I kept referencing it, trying to see what the different abilities were and how they differed and what the differences and changes were and nuances here and there. And I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself already at this point, but I really love the way that the game felt. I love that the way that the game played, and I'm really hoping the format that I saw in the demo is how the game is structured for the full release as well, because I'm going to be a little disappointed if I go into this and then all of a sudden it opens up into a big open world and it's just bloated with side objectives and activities to do. That's going to be kind of annoying. I hope it maintains this sort of linear action game vibe, because I feel like we're missing games like that these days. They're not as common as they used to be. And I love the aesthetic here. I think it's a great sort of dark fantasy feudal Japan mixture, hodgepodge of inspirations and sort of aesthetics. And I really like what they're doing with the way that this game feels and looks and plays. One thing that was a little strange, I guess, is that Musashi has like a British accent for some reason. It doesn't, I mean, whenever you listen to the English voiceover, usually in these kind of games, when they do English VO, they'll have someone that sort of still has the Japanese accent. So even though they're reading and speaking English, you still kind of get that sort of cultural aesthetic in their voice. But for some reason, that's not the case here. I mean, maybe I'm just weird and I'm noticing something that isn't there. But for me, it was a little off putting. Obviously, you could just listen to the Japanese voiceover. That would probably be the more authentic way to play this game, of course. And so I think that's something that I would experiment with and try it out whenever the game does come out. Overall, I'm really excited for this game. I'll be honest, like whenever I went into that demo event at Capcom's office, I was really just there for Resident Evil and Pragmata. Onimusha is not a game that I really knew much about. It wasn't a game that I had any prior experience with, really, other than just like a couple of hours with one of the remasters. So I wasn't really super stoked to play it. I mean, I was wrong, because I really enjoyed this demo and it really turned me around and turned me into someone looking forward to this game. And so I think that's a real testament to, the quality of what they got here. And I think, Capcom's been on fire lately. I mean, all their games have just been so good and really driving into what those individual series are known and loved for. I mean, obviously Monster Hunter Wild sold incredibly well, and I it seems like they're using that success to reinvest and recommit to a lot of their other franchises. We have 3 huge AAA games on the slate right now from Capcom, with this, Resident Evil, and Pragmata, which is a brand new IP. A lot of publishers these days aren't taking risks like that, bringing back old franchises such as this, or investing in new IPs like Pragmata. So to me, that's exciting. Capcom seems to have a real grasp of what people are into and what they're looking for. And I really am just excited for what they've got coming down the line over the next 12 months or so. There's still not a release date for this game. It's just slated for 2026. Hopefully, it's around the middle of the year. Around summertime is probably a good time for a game like this to land, because there is usually a bit of a drought of new releases in the summer. So I'm hopeful about this game. I'm excited. From what I played, I really enjoyed it. This boss fight here was easily the highlight of the demo. This dude is so fast. He uses a lot of similar abilities to you. He can do things like counters. He has a gauntlet as well with abilities attached to it. And he was a lot of fun to fight. It's all about managing resources and trying to chip away at his stamina to open up him and make him more vulnerable, and evading and parrying and deflecting. And these boss fights feel like proper duels, which is really fantastic. I think they've struck a really nice balance of making the game really evolve as you get deeper into it, and it continues to throw more and more at you to keep challenging you. In the demo that I played, there were 2 difficulty settings. You could play an action mode or kind of a story mode difficulty. I played on the action mode, and I surprisingly didn't die. I'm not particularly great at action games. Usually I struggle at least a little bit, but I was able to pick it up and really get in rhythm pretty quickly, which I think is pretty awesome. So if you are a fan of Onimusha, if you're interested in Onimusha, if you want to know more about this game, if you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Let me know if you're excited. Let me know if you've played the series before. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe like a good YouTube viewer always does. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. And if you want to see more, head over to the rest of my channel.